Hey students of class 10, so attention everyone, here I am again with the first chapter from your first flight book, and the title is A Letter to God. Have you ever imagined about the faith? Have you ever heard the word faith? The faith can go beyond imagination. This imagination we are going to witness in this chapter, A Letter to God. Okay, here we will discuss the story of Lancho. Lancho, who is actually basically a farmer, is lived in a lonely place which is sat upon a crest of a low hill. From this height one could see the river and the field of the ripe corn dotted with flowers that always promised a good harvest. From that height, one can view the entire valley. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour or at least a shower. Downpour means a very heavy rain or at least a shower. So what does the earth need? The earth needs only a downpour or a shower. Throughout the morning, Lancho, who knew his field intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards northeast. So this line shows the faith of Lancho in God. He did nothing throughout the morning, but only he was gazing at the northeast. Now we are really going to get some water woman. He is addressing his wife over here and saying that this time now definitely we are going to have water. The woman who was preparing supper replied, "Yes, God willing." Woman replied, "Yes, definitely. If God will be with us, definitely we are going to get water, rain." The older boys were working in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them all. So the older boys, they were all playing they were doing their work in the field, and the smaller one actually they are playing beside the house. Woman called all of them, "Come on for dinner." It was during the meal that just as Lancho has predicted. So during the meal, just as Lancho predicted, the big drops of the rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of the clouds could be seen approaching. The air was fresh and sweet. So as before rain, there is fresh, very coldness in the atmosphere. A fresh atmosphere was also there just before the rain. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. So Lancho was so excited that he went out while it was raining just to enjoy the droplets on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These are not raindrops falling from the sky. They are new coins. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are 5 cents." So he compared the drops to the 10-cent pieces, the smaller one to 5 and the big drops to the 10 cents. With a satisfied expression, he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers. Now he looked once again with a satisfied expression on his field, which is wrapped in a curtain of rain. The entire field was dropped, properly wrapped in rain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow and blow. Along with the rain, very large hailstones began to fall. But what happened suddenly? There is a change in weather, and the wind started blowing very hardly. And with rain also the hailstone began to fall. These truly did resemble new silver coins. In the beginning, it all looks very good. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls. And in the beginning, boys were also enjoying those frozen pearls. They went out in order to collect those frozen pearls. "It is really getting bad now," exclaimed the man. But when it didn't stop, the man said, "Now it's really getting bad. I hope it passes quickly." It didn't pass quickly. So he also said, "I am hoping that it would pass very quick." But actually it didn't happen. For an hour the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield and the whole valley. The field was white as if covered with salt. So as just contradictory to his expectation, the hail didn't stop and the whole valley was covered with white salt. Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. And even the corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. So as there were nothing left. So that's why Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, a plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing this year. We have no corn. So if there were locusts, then definitely those locusts would have been much better than this hailstorm. But this hail doesn't left anything. That night was a sorrowful one. All work for nothing. All our work, and that was of no use. There is no one who can help us. We will all go hungry this year. So, but in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary house in the middle of the valley, there was single hope, help from God. But they are so optimistic. They were so hopeful that we will get some help from God. Don't be so upset even though this seems like total loss. Remember, no one dies of hunger. That's what they say, no one dies of hunger. So he also reminded a proper saying that no one dies of hunger. All through the night, Lencho thought only of his one hope, the help from God. The full night he was thinking about the one hope, the help from God. Whose eyes, as he has been instructed, see everything. As for God, he sees all the things, even what is deep in one's conscience. What is there in your deep conscience, the God knew that also. Lencho was in awe of a man working like an animal in the field, but still he knew how to write. Actually, Lencho was an illiterate person. He was an ox kind of a person, but he knows how to write. The following Sunday, at daybreak, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. So, on the following Sunday, when it was morning time, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town, place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. So, that letter was no less than a letter to God. And what was it written in that letter? God, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. If you will not help me, my family and I, we both will go hungry this year. I needed 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crops come. I need 100 pesos from you so that I can sow my field once again and so that I can survive up to the time when crop comes because of the hailstorm. He wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside and still traveled into the town. So he wrote to God on the envelope and put the letter inside the envelope and still traveled into town. At the post office, he placed the stamp on the letter and dropped it into the mailbox. One of the employees who was a postman and also helped at the post office went to his boss, laughing heartily and showing him the letter to God. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. So he had never actually ever seen such type of the address like to God. The postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing, but almost immediately turned serious. So, at first, postmaster was also he became also shocked and started to laugh. But suddenly he get victory over his emotions and tapping the letter on his desk commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who had written this letter. I wish I would have the faith of this man." Stirring up a correspondence with God, who has starting up a correspondence with God. So in order to not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with the idea, answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill and ink and paper. So now he wanted to help that person. But he opened the letter. But when he opened the letter, he realized that apart from goodwill, apart from a good heart, it needs in something more. And what was that? But he stuck to his resolution. He asked money for his employees. So actually, in the letter there was the demand for money, so he asked the money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and several other friends of his were obliged to give some for an act of charity. So for an act of charity, lot of members of the post office they contributed their part in that particular help. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, as it was not possible for him to collect 100 pesos by his own. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. So on the entire full stop, he was not able to collect 100 pesos. So he sent only more than half. He put the money in the envelope, addressed to Lencho with a letter containing only a single word as signature, God. So he just gave a single initial over there, God, from God. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. See once again the faith. Lencho came before his time just to know whether there is a letter for him. It was the postman himself who had handed the letter to him, while the postmaster experiencing the contentment of the man who has performed a good deed. So as postmaster has done a very good deed, he was feeling blessed in himself, and Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money. But apparently, on the contrary, Lencho didn't show any surprise, but such was his confidence. But he became angry when he counted the money. But he counted the money, he became angry. And God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. How can God make mistake? And how can God deny what Lencho has requested? It was his comment. Immediately Lencho went up to the window and asked for the paper and ink, and public writing table he started to write with much wrinkling on his brow, caused by the effort he had to make to express his ideas. So he went to the writing table, and with all the effort he was just writing something. His appearances shows that definitely there is some anger in his thoughts. When he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp, which he licked and then affixed to the envelope, and then he affixed the envelope over it with a blow of fist. So with a blow of fist, he, after licking that ticket, he pasted that ticket on the envelope. The moment the letter fell to the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. So once again he requested to God, God, please send me the rest of money, as I needed it very badly. And then a very innocent comment, but don't send it through me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks, Lencho. So what he said that don't send all these things through mail. Don't money order me through this mail, as these post office employees are no less than a bunch of crooks. So such was his faith, such was his confidence, such was his belief in God. So this is all about the chapter, students. Still, if you have any queries, you can put all your problems in the school WhatsApp group. Thank you. Keep learning. Keep